The morning sun shone through the windows of Park's shooting range on New Seoul Colony. Jian Park wiped down the counter and checked his weapons. Everything was clean and ready. He had been running this shooting range for 3 years now. Most days were quiet. Human colonists came to practice. Some wanted to learn. Others just wanted to have fun. Jihan was a former Earth military instructor. He knew guns better than most people. When he moved to New Seoul, he thought his teaching days were over. The colony was peaceful. There was no war here. But people still wanted to learn how to shoot. So he opened his range. The bell above the door rang. Jihan looked up to see Minho Kim walking in. Minho worked for the colony defense department. He was a serious man who rarely smiled. Today he looked worried. "Hello, Jihan," Minho said. "I need to talk to you." "What's wrong?" Jihan asked. "Is there trouble?" Minho looked around the empty range. "Can we sit down? This is important." They sat at a small table near the window. Minho put his hands together and leaned forward. "I have a strange request," Minho said. "The Valari want to learn about guns." Jihan blinked. The Valari were aliens. They had made contact with humans. 2 years ago. They were tall, thin beings with silver skin and large eyes. They were very smart and very peaceful. Their technology was far beyond human technology. "Why would they want to learn about guns?" Jihan asked. "They have energy weapons. Their technology is hundreds of years ahead of ours." "That's what makes it strange," Minho said. "They call it learning about human projectile combat traditions. They say it's for diplomatic reasons." Jihan thought about this. The Valari had never shown interest in human weapons before. They thought human technology was primitive. Their energy weapons could do things that seemed like magic to humans. "How many Valari?" Jihan asked. "5 of them. Their ambassador and, some researchers. They want to come tomorrow." Jihan rubbed his chin. Teaching aliens to shoot would be very different from teaching humans. He had never done anything like it before. "I don't know, Minho. What if something goes wrong? What if I hurt them by accident?" "You won't hurt them," Minho said. "They are tougher than they look." And this request comes from very high up. The colony leaders want this to happen. Jihan sighed. He needed the money. Business had been slow. Lately, most colonists already knew how to shoot. "Okay," he said. "But I'll do it my way. Safety first, no exceptions." Minho smiled for the first time. "Thank you, Jihan. They will be here at 9 in the morning." The next day, Jihan arrived early. He set up his basic training materials. He put out ear protection and safety glasses. He loaded some simple rifles with small bullets. Everything had to be perfect for his alien students. At exactly 9 o'clock, 5 Valari walked into his range. Jihan had seen Valari before, but not this close. They were even taller than he remembered. The shortest one was still taller than him. Their silver skin seemed to glow in the morning light. The leader stepped forward. She had adopted a human name, as many Valari did when dealing with humans. "Mr. Park," she said in perfect Korean, "I am Ambassador Yuna. Thank you for agreeing to teach us." Her voice was musical and soft. All Valari sounded like they were singing when they spoke. "Welcome to my range," Jihan said. "Please introduce your team." "This is Nari," Yuna said, pointing to a younger-looking Valari. "She studies human technology and culture." Nari bowed politely. Her large eyes seemed to take in every detail of the shooting range. "This is Teho," Yuna continued. The oldest Valari nodded. He wore robes that marked him as an elder. "He is our military advisor." Jihan was surprised. The Valari had military advisors. They were supposed to be completely peaceful. "And these are Minji and Doyun," Yuna finished. "They are technical specialists." All 5 Valari looked around the shooting range with curious expressions. They seemed confused by what they saw. "Before we begin," Jihan said, "can I ask why you want to learn about human weapons?" The Valari looked at each other. Yuna spoke carefully. "We find human approaches to conflict very interesting. Your species still uses projectile weapons when we have moved beyond them. We want to understand why." This did not answer Jehan's question, but he decided not to push. He would learn more as they worked together. Okay, he said. Let's start with basic safety. This is the most important part. Jihan held up a simple rifle. All 5 Villari stepped back as if he was holding a dangerous animal. This is a rifle, he said. It shoots small metal bullets very fast. The first rule is to always treat it like it's loaded and ready to shoot. Taiho raised his hand. But surely your weapons have safety systems? Our energy weapons cannot fire unless the user is properly identified and authorized. Human weapons are simpler, Jahan explained. That's why we need rules. The first rule is treat every gun like it's loaded. Nari looked confused. But how do you know if it's loaded or not? You check it, Jihan said. But even after you check it, you still treat it like it's loaded. The Villari whispered to each other in their own language. They seemed to find this concept very strange. The second rule, Jihan continued, is never point the gun at anything you don't want to destroy. Destroy? Minji asked. But we are not here to destroy anything, we are here to learn. That's exactly why we have the rule, Jahan said. Accidents happen. If you follow the rules, no one gets hurt. He explained the other safety rules. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. Know what's behind your target. The Villari listened carefully, but he could see they thought the rules were very primitive. Why don't you just use safety fields like we do? Do-Yan asked. Because our weapons don't have safety fields, Jahan said. They are mechanical devices. Simple but effective. Yuna looked at the rifle in Jihan's hands. May I examine it? Jihan made sure the rifle was completely empty. Then he handed it to her carefully. Yuna held it like it might explode at any moment. It's heavier than I expected, she said. Metal and wood, Jihan explained. Very different from your energy weapons. Nari touched the rifle barrel with one long finger. How does it work? Jihan began to explain how gunpowder pushed a bullet through the barrel. The Villari listened with growing amazement. To them, it must have seemed like explaining how to make fire with sticks. So primitive, Taiho murmured. Yet so elegant in its simplicity? By the end of the first hour, none of the Villari had actually fired a weapon. They were still learning basic safety. Jihan could see they were frustrated. They were used to learning things quickly with their advanced minds. Tomorrow we will start with actual shooting, he told them. Today was about not getting hurt. As the Villari prepared to leave, Yuna approached Jihan. Mr. Park, she said quietly, I must tell you something. This training is more important than you know. We may need these skills sooner than we hoped. Before Jihan could ask what she meant, the Villari were gone. He stood alone in his shooting range, wondering what he had gotten himself into. Teaching aliens to shoot was already strange enough. But Yuna's words suggested there was much more to this story. He looked at the rifles on his rack. Tomorrow, his students would fire their first human weapons. He hoped he was ready for whatever came next. The next morning, Jihan arrived to find Soyeon Lee already setting up targets at the range. Soyeon was his assistant instructor and former military engineer. She was small but tough, with quick hands and sharp eyes. Morning, boss, she said. Ready to teach aliens how to shoot? As ready as I can be, Jihan replied. Did you bring the small caliber rifles? Got them right here. Soyeon patted a case full of .22 rifles. These will be perfect for beginners, low noise, low recoil. The Villari arrived exactly on time again. Today they seemed more nervous than curious. Yuna led them to the shooting area while Jihan and Soyeon prepared the lesson. Today we learn to actually shoot, Jihan announced. But first we review safety rules. He made each Villari repeat the 4 rules. Treat every gun as loaded. Never point it at anything you don't want to destroy. Keep your finger off the trigger until ready to shoot. Know what's behind your target. Good, Jihan said. Now we put on ear protection and safety glasses. The Villari struggled with the human-sized equipment. Their heads were different shapes, and the gear didn't fit well. Soyeon had to adjust everything. Manually, why do we need ear protection? Nari asked. Our energy weapons are silent. Human weapons are loud, Soyen explained. Very loud. Without protection, you could damage your hearing. Taiho looked worried. How loud? You'll see, Jihan said. He loaded 1.22 rifle carefully, making sure all the Velari could see what he was doing. Then he aimed at a paper target 30 feet away and fired. Crack. All 5 Velari jumped and covered their ears, even though they wore protection. The sound echoed in the indoor range. That was loud, Minji gasped. That was a small bullet, Soyen said with a grin. Big bullets are much louder. Jihan showed them the hole in the target. The bullet went exactly where I aimed. Now you try. He handed the rifle to Yuna. She held it like it might bite her. Remember the safety rules, Jihan said. Point it at the target only. Finger off the trigger until you're ready. Yuna lifted the rifle to her shoulder. Her long arms made the weapon look tiny. She aimed carefully and squeezed the trigger. Crack. The bullet hit the target, but far from the center. Yuna smiled with excitement. I did it. I made it work. Good job, Jihan said. Now let the others try. One by one, each Velari fired their first human weapon. Some shots hit the target. Some missed. Completely. But all of them were amazed by the experience. It's so different from energy weapons, Doyan said. I can feel the power in my hands. There's no computer helping me aim, Nari added. It's all me. After an hour of basic shooting, they took a break. The Velari sat together, talking quietly, in their own language. Soyen joined Jihan near the coffee machine. They're not bad for beginners, she said. But they seem scared of the weapons. Can you blame them? Jihan asked. Their technology is so advanced. This must feel like learning to use stone tools. During the break, Minji approached Jihan alone. She looked around to make sure no one else was listening. Mr. Park, she said quietly. I must tell you something about my people. What is it? Minji's large eyes seemed sad. We were not always peaceful. Long ago, my people fought terrible wars. We used weapons like yours, but bigger and more deadly. Jihan listened carefully. The wars nearly destroyed our world, Minji continued. Whole cities were burned. Millions died. So we decided never to use projectile weapons again. We developed energy weapons that could not cause such massive destruction. But now you're learning projectile weapons again, Jihan said. Why? Minji looked at her companions. Because energy weapons have weaknesses. And we have enemies who know those weaknesses. Before Jihan could ask more questions, Yuna called for Minji to return. But her words stayed in Jihan's mind. The Velari had enemies. That's why they were here. In the afternoon, Yun Wucho arrived at the range. He was the colony's military liaison, a stern man in uniform. He watched the Velari practice for a while, then spoke quietly with Jihan. How are they doing? Yunwu asked. Better than expected, Jihan replied. They learn fast. But they're still afraid of the weapons. They should be afraid, Yunwu said. I got some intelligence reports this morning. Pirate activity is increasing in this sector. They're using EMP weapons to disable energy-based defenses. Jihan understood. EMP weapons could shut down energy shields and energy weapons, but they couldn't stop bullets. Is that why the Velari are here? He asked. Probably, Yunwu said, though they haven't told us directly. For the rest of the afternoon, Jihan watched his alien students more carefully. They were improving quickly. Their hand-eye coordination was excellent. Once they overcame their fear, they could hit targets with surprising accuracy. Taiho was especially good. His old hands were steady, and he understood the physics of ballistics better than most humans. The bullet follows a curved path, he explained to the others. Gravity pulls it down. Wind pushes it sideways. We must calculate these forces. You're thinking too much, Soyen told him. Feel the shot. Let your body learn. But surely mathematical precision is better than feeling? Taiho asked. Both are important, Jihan said. Math tells you where to aim, but feeling tells you when to pull the trigger. Near the end of the day, Nari achieved something remarkable. She hit the center of the target 5 times in a row. The other Velari cheered for her. How did you do that? Do-yeon asked. I stopped thinking about the weapon as a tool, Nari said. I started thinking of it as part of my body, Jihan smiled. She was getting it. As the Valeri prepared to leave, Yuna approached Jihan again. Tomorrow, can you teach us about different types of weapons? She asked. Of course. Pistols, rifles, shotguns, each has different uses. What about automatic weapons? Taeho asked suddenly. Jihan and Soyeon looked at each other. Automatic weapons were military equipment. Not something for beginners. Why do you ask? Jihan said carefully. Just curiosity, Taeho replied. But his eyes said otherwise. After the Valeri left, Jihan and Soyeon cleaned the weapons and put everything away. They're not just here for cultural exchange, Soyeon said. No, Jihan agreed. They're preparing for war. The question was, war against whom? And how much time did they have? That night, Jihan lay in bed thinking about Minji's words. The Valeri had abandoned projectile weapons because they were too destructive. But now they were learning them again. Because they had no choice. Whatever was coming, it was bad enough to make a peaceful species pick up guns again. On the third day, Jihan found 2 more Valeri waiting with the original group. Yuna introduced them as Do-yeon and Sungmin, military advisors from their homeworld. Military advisors? Jihan asked. I thought your people were peaceful. We are peaceful, Yuna said. But even peaceful people need protection sometimes. The new Valeri were different from the others. They moved like soldiers, alert and careful. Their eyes missed nothing. When Jihan showed them the weapons, they didn't flinch or step back. These are projectile weapons, Sumin said, examining a rifle. We studied them in historical texts, but never thought we would use them. Why are you using them now? Soyeon asked directly. The Valeri looked at each other. Finally, Do-yeon spoke. We face an enemy called the Kefter. They are nomads who travel between stars, taking what they want. Their ships and armor are built to resist energy weapons. But not bullets? Jihan asked. No, they never expected anyone to still use projectile weapons. This explained everything. The Valeri needed to learn old-fashioned warfare to fight an enemy who was prepared only for modern weapons. How much time do we have? Jihan asked. Not much, Yuna said quietly. Kefter scouts have been seen near our outer colonies. Jihan looked at his small shooting range. It suddenly seemed very inadequate for training a military force. We need to expand the training, he said. More weapons, more tactics, more students. We hoped you would say that, Sungmin said. Over the next few days, more equipment arrived. Military-grade rifles, pistols, and even some automatic weapons. Hyunwoo helped arrange for a larger training area outside the colony. The Valeri proved to be amazing students. Their natural abilities, combined with their advanced understanding of physics, made them excellent marksmen once they overcame their initial fear. Nari could calculate wind drift and bullet drop in her head faster than human computers. Taeho developed new shooting positions that worked better for Valeri anatomy. Even quiet Minji became deadly accurate with a sniper rifle. Your people learn fast, Soyeon told Yuna during a break. We have to, Yuna replied. Our homeworld has 40 billion people. If the Kefter attack and we're not ready. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Jihan introduced different types of weapons throughout the week. Pistols for close combat. Rifles for medium range. Sniper rifles for long distance. Each weapon required different skills and training. Why so many different weapons? Do-yeon asked. Our energy weapons can adjust for any range. Specialization, Jihan explained. Each weapon is perfect for specific situations. A pistol is fast to draw but not accurate at long range. A sniper rifle is very accurate but slow to reload. The Valeri began to understand human military thinking. Where their energy weapons were versatile but complex, human weapons were simple but specialized. It's like having different tools for different jobs, Nari said. Exactly, Soyeon agreed. The breakthrough moment came when they started training with automatic weapons. Jian set up multiple targets and showed them how to control full auto fire. Short bursts, he instructed. Long bursts waste ammunition and lose accuracy. Sungmin took the automatic rifle and fired at the targets. His first burst was too long, spraying bullets everywhere. His second burst was perfect. 3 quick shots that hit the center target. "I understand now," he said with excitement. "It's not about firepower. It's about control." That afternoon, news arrived that changed everything. A Kefter raiding party had attacked a Valari mining station. The theoretical threat had become real. How bad? Yuna asked Hyunwoo, who brought the news. 17 ships destroyed. 3,000 people killed or captured, Hyunwoo said grimly. Your energy weapons barely slowed them down. The training atmosphere changed immediately. The Valari became more focused, more serious. They stayed late every day, practicing until their hands hurt. Jihan watched Taiho teaching Minji how to strip and clean an assault rifle. A few days ago, they had been afraid to touch the weapons. Now they handled them like experts. We're running out of time, Jihan told Soyeon that evening. They're learning as fast as they can, she replied. But you're right. They need real combat. Experience, not just target practice. What do you mean? Combat scenarios, moving targets, stress situations. Things that simulate real fighting. Jihan nodded. Teaching marksmanship was one thing. Teaching combat was another. The next day he set up the first combat scenario. Simple cardboard targets that popped up at random times and places. The Valari had to identify threats and engage them quickly. At first, they struggled. They were used to careful, aimed shots. Quick reaction shooting was much harder. Think less, react more, Jahan coached them. Trust your training. Gradually, they improved. Do-yeon became especially good at quick-draw pistol work. Sungmin mastered moving and shooting at the same time, but it was Jisoo, a young Valari who arrived later in the week, who surprised everyone. She was barely adult by Valari standards, but she moved through the combat course like she was born for it. Where did she learn to move like that? Soyeon asked Yuna. She didn't, Yuna replied, watching Jisoo smoothly engage multiple targets. Some people are just natural warriors. That evening, Jisoo approached Jihan with serious questions. Mr. Park? What happens when the enemy shoots back? What do you mean? All our training is against targets that don't move, don't shoot back, don't try to kill us. Real combat will be different. Jihan looked at the young Valari. She was asking the hard questions that the others avoided. You're right, he said. Real combat is chaos. Fear and noise and confusion. The only way to prepare is to train until your reactions become automatic. Will you teach me advanced tactics? She asked. Not just shooting, but fighting? That's military training. I'm just a shooting instructor. No, Jisoo said firmly. You're our teacher. And we need to learn everything you know. That night, Jihan called a meeting with Soyeon and Hyunwoo. They want advanced combat training, he told them. Real military tactics. Can we do that? Soyeon asked. We have to, Hyunwoo said. More reports are coming in. The Kefter are moving toward Valari space. This isn't just about teaching them to shoot anymore. What do you mean? Jihan asked. I mean we might be training the only force that can stop an invasion. The weight of responsibility settled on Jahan's shoulders. He was no longer just teaching aliens to shoot. He was helping prepare them for war. And if they failed, billions of Valari might die. The training facility expanded rapidly. Within a week, what started as a simple shooting range had become a military training complex. Prefab buildings housed equipment storage, briefing rooms, and barracks for the growing number of Valari students. Jahan stood in the main briefing room, looking at tactical maps of Valari space. Red markers showed Kefter movements. They were getting closer. 47 more students arrived this morning, Minho reported. That makes over 200 Valari training here now. We need more instructors, Soyeon said. I can't train them. All myself. Help is coming, Hyunwoo announced as he entered the room. Colonel Davies and a team from Earth Military are arriving tomorrow. Jihan felt relieved. He was a good shooting instructor, but training an army was beyond his experience. The new training regime was intense. Students woke at dawn for physical conditioning. Velari bodies were different from human bodies, taller and thinner, but they adapted quickly to human military exercises. Run faster, Soin shouted at a group of Velari jogging around the track. The enemy won't wait for you to catch your breath. In the classroom, Taiho led lectures on ballistics and weapon systems. His mathematical mind had mastered every aspect of projectile weapons. He could calculate optimal ammunition loads and explain why different bullets worked better for different targets. The key is matching the weapon to the mission, he explained to new students. Close combat requires rapid fire and reliability. Long range requires precision and power. Nari had become the expert on technical modifications. Working with Soyan, she developed new accessories that worked better for Velari anatomy. Adjustable stocks, modified grips, and improved sights designed for their larger eyes. Human weapons weren't made for us, she told her engineering team. So we make them fit us. The most impressive student was still Jisoo. She had progressed from basic marksmanship to advanced tactics in just 2 weeks. Her natural fighting instincts amazed even the human instructors. She moves like a predator, one of the new instructors told Jihan. Are you sure the Velari are peaceful? They are now, Jihan replied, but maybe they weren't always. The combat scenarios became more complex every day. Moving targets, multiple attackers, low-light conditions, and combat while wounded. Each scenario taught different lessons about real fighting. Doyun specialized in urban warfare. The mock city they built let students practice clearing buildings and fighting in close quarters. His team learned to move silently, communicate with hand signals, and coordinate attacks. Stack up on the door, he whispered to his squad. Remember, fast and violent, hesitation gets you killed. Seung-min focused on squad tactics. His students learned to work together, covering each other's movements and supporting teammates under fire. They practiced formations, fields of fire, and tactical communications. Individual skill is important, he taught them, but squad coordination wins battles. The Velari's rapid learning impressed everyone. Their superior intelligence and reflexes made them excellent soldiers once they overcame their peaceful nature. They're almost too good, Colonel Davies told Jihan after watching a live-fire exercise. I've never seen recruits advance this fast. They're fighting for their species' survival, Jihan replied. That's powerful motivation. The breakthrough moment came during a complex night exercise. Jisoo's team was tasked with infiltrating a mock enemy position and rescuing hostages. The scenario required stealth, precision, and perfect timing. Jihan watched through night vision as Jisoo led her team through the darkness. They moved like ghosts, silent and coordinated. When they reached the target building, each member knew exactly what to do. The assault was flawless. In 90 seconds, they had neutralized all threats and secured the hostages without a single mistake. Beautiful, Soyan whispered. Just beautiful, but the exercise revealed a problem. The Velari were becoming excellent at human-style tactics, but they were forgetting their own advantages. You're thinking like humans, Jihan told them during the debrief. But you're not humans, you're faster, smarter, and have better senses. Use those advantages. This led to the development of hybrid tactics that combined human weapons with Velari abilities. They learned to use their enhanced hearing to detect enemies in the dark. Their superior hand-eye coordination let them shoot accurately while moving, at speeds that would make humans stumble. We're not trying to make you into human soldiers, Jihan explained. We're making you into something new, something better. Yuna became the liaison between the training facility and Velari Command. Every day brought new intelligence about Kefter movements. The enemy was consolidating their forces for a major offensive. How much longer do we have? Jihan asked her. Weeks, maybe less, she replied. Our defensive fleets are falling back. To protect the core systems, the pressure affected everyone. Students trained longer hours, instructors pushed harder. The atmosphere became tense with urgency. During one evening briefing, Minji shared troubling intelligence. The Kefter aren't just raiders, she told the assembled instructors. They're preparing for full conquest. They want our worlds, our resources, our people as slaves. What about their weaknesses? Sorian asked. Every enemy has weaknesses. They rely completely on energy shields and weapons, Doyan answered. It's worked for them because no one uses projectile weapons anymore, until now. So we're their weakness, Jahan said. If we can get close enough to use our weapons, Yuna added, this led to new training focused on ship-to-ship combat and boarding actions. The Villari learned to fight in zero gravity, in cramped spaceship corridors, and in the vacuum of space-wearing pressure suits. Fighting in space is different from fighting on the ground, Colonel Davies taught them. No gravity, no air, and one hole in your suit means death. The students adapted quickly. Their natural grace made them excellent at zero-gravity movement. Soon they were performing complex combat maneuvers that human marines took months to master. As the training reached its final phase, Jihan realized how much had changed. The frightened aliens who had first stepped into his shooting range were now confident warriors. They moved with purpose, handled weapons with skill, and worked together. Like a military unit, but more than that, they had changed him too. Teaching them had reminded him why he became a soldier in the first place. Not to fight wars, but to protect people who couldn't protect themselves? You've done something amazing here, Colonel Davies told him one evening. You've created a new kind of warrior. We all did, Jihan replied, watching Jisoo lead her team through another perfect exercise. But they did most of the work themselves. The final test came when intelligence reported Kethter scouts in the outer system. Soon the training would end and the real fighting would begin. Jihan looked at his students, his soldiers now, and felt proud they were ready, at least as ready as anyone could be for war. The alarm came at 3 a.m. Jihan woke to red lights flashing and the sound of running feet in the corridors. He dressed quickly and ran to the command center. What's happening? He asked Hyunwoo. Kethter raiders, Hyunwoo replied, pointing at the tactical display. They attacked the convoy route between here and Villari space. 3 ships under attack. Any of our people on those ships? Yes, Jisoo and Hana are aboard the transport Swift Current with a cargo of new weapons. They were heading home to start training more soldiers. Jihan felt his stomach drop. After weeks of training, 2 of his best students were facing real combat for the first time. Can we help them? Colony defense ships are too far away, Minho said. The transport is on its own. In the command center, they listened to radio communications. From the battle, the transport captain's voice was tense but controlled. This is Swift Current. We are under attack by 3 raider vessels. Energy shields failing, requesting immediate assistance. Then they heard a different voice. Jisoo, calm and clear. Captain, this is Villari security team. We have weapons and training. Let us help. You're civilians, the captain replied. No, sir, Jisoo said firmly. We're soldiers. The next few minutes were the longest of Jahan's life. They heard explosions, shouting, and the sound of gunfire over the radio. The Kethter were boarding the transport. Security teams to Deck 7, the captain announced. Boarders in the cargo bay. Jihan closed his eyes and listened. In his mind, he could see what was happening. The Kethter would expect to face energy weapons and force fields. Instead, they were walking into bullets and human tactics. Contact! Engaging hostiles! That was Hannah's voice. The sound of automatic weapons fire came through the speakers. Short, controlled bursts just like they had practiced, targets down. Moving to Section B, Jisoo reported. More gunfire. The sharp crack of rifles and the deeper sound of assault weapons. Then silence. All clear, Jisoo announced. Boarders eliminated. Repeat, all boarders eliminated. Cheers erupted in the command center. The first real test of their training had been a complete success, but the battle wasn't over. The Kethter ships were still attacking the transport with energy weapons, trying to disable it. This is Swift Current, the captain reported. Shields are gone. Hull damage on multiple decks. We need to evacuate. Negative, Jisoo replied. We're not running. What do you mean? We're going after them. Jihan couldn't believe what he was hearing. Jisoo was planning to board the enemy ships. Jisoo, don't, he whispered, even though she couldn't hear him, but she was already in motion. Through the radio, they heard her organizing the transport's crew and security team. "Here's the plan," she announced. "We use the maintenance shuttles to reach their ships. While they're focused on disabling us, we'll disable them." It was a crazy plan, but it was exactly the kind of thinking they had trained for. Use the enemy's expectations against them. The radio went quiet for 30 minutes. Jihen paced the command center, imagining what was happening in the darkness of space. Finally, Hannah's voice came through. "Swift current, this is boarding team. First enemy ship secured. Their energy weapons are down." "How?" the captain asked. "Turns out their systems are very fragile when you shoot the right components," Jisoo replied. "Moving to target 2. Another 20 minutes of silence. Then, "Second ship secured. Target 3 is trying to run. Let them go," the captain ordered. "Negative." Jisoo said, "They'll just attack someone else." More silence. Then the sound of weapons fire, much heavier than before. "Target 3 neutralized," Hannah reported. "All threats eliminated." The command center erupted in celebration. 2 newly trained Velari had just defeated 3 veteran raider ships using nothing but human weapons and tactics. "How many casualties?" Yunwoo asked when the radio traffic calmed down. "None," Jisoo replied. "Well, none on our side?" The Kefter weren't so lucky. Word of the victory spread quickly through the training facility. The theoretical had become real and the training had worked perfectly, but the success brought new problems. Within hours, every Velari commander in the fleet was demanding human weapons and human-trained soldiers. The training program that had started with 5 curious diplomats now needed to expand to train thousands. "We can't do it," Soyeon told Jihan. "We don't have enough instructors, enough weapons, or enough time." "We have to try," Jihan replied. "After today, every Kefter in the galaxy will know that energy weapons aren't enough anymore." The next week brought a flood of new students. Transport ships arrived daily, carrying Velari soldiers who needed to learn human tactics quickly. Jahan and his team worked frantically to expand the program. They set up satellite training centers on 3 different worlds. They recruited human military advisors from across the colony territories. They mass-produced simple weapons that Velari forces could use immediately, but the most important development was the students themselves. Veterans like Jisoo and Hana became instructors, teaching new students the lessons they had learned in combat. "Don't just memorize the procedures," Jisoo told a group of new trainees. "Understand why we do things this way. In real combat, everything goes wrong. You need to adapt." The hybrid tactics they had developed were refined and improved. Velari units learned to combine their advanced technology with human weapons in ways that neither species had imagined alone. Energy shields could protect against energy weapons, but not bullets. So Velari soldiers used shields to get close, then switched to projectile weapons for the actual fighting. Advanced sensors could track enemy movements through walls and obstacles. Combined with human sniper techniques, this made Velari marksmen incredibly deadly. Their natural speed and agility, enhanced by human close combat training, created warriors that could move through enemy positions like ghosts. "We're not just teaching them to fight like humans," Colonel Davies observed. "We're creating something entirely new." Intelligence reports confirmed that the Kefter were responding to the new threat. Their tactics were changing. They were developing countermeasures. "They're adding kinetic armor to their ships," Nari reported from the technical analysis team. "And they're starting to use projectile weapons themselves." "How long before they adapt completely?" Yuna asked. "Months, maybe a year," Nari replied. "But by then we'll have trained thousands of soldiers." The race was on. Could they train enough Velari fast enough to make a difference before the Kefter adapted to the new threat? As Jihen watched another group of students graduate from the program, he realized that the war was just beginning. The victory at Swift Current had been important, but it was only the first battle. The real test would come when the main Kefter fleet arrived at Velari space. Then they would learn if months of training could save a civilization. 6 months later, Jihan stood on the observation deck of the Velari ship New Dawn. watching the most unusual military exercise in galactic history. Below him, mixed units of humans and Valari trained together, their movements perfectly coordinated, despite their different species. Hard to believe it started with 5 nervous diplomats in your shooting range, Minho said, joining him at the window. Sometimes I can't believe it myself, Jihan replied. The war against the Kethter had lasted 4 months. The hybrid tactics developed at Jihan's training facility had proven decisive. The enemy, who had conquered a dozen star systems using only energy weapons, found themselves helpless against forces that combined advanced technology with ancient projectile warfare. Status report, Yuna announced as she entered the observation lounge. She now wore the uniform of a Valari fleet admiral, with ribbons that showed her role in developing interspecies military cooperation. Training Battalion 7 completed. Their certification yesterday, Soyan reported. That makes 57 human Valari units fully operational. And the new weapon prototypes? Yuna asked. Better than expected, Nari said, consulting her tablet. She had become the head of joint weapons development, creating new technologies that combined human and Valari engineering. The hybrid rifles are 30% more accurate than standard human weapons, and they can switch between kinetic and energy modes. Jihan smiled. The student had become the teacher. Nari now instructed human engineers on advanced targeting systems while learning human manufacturing techniques that were simpler but more reliable than Valari methods. What about our new students? He asked. Interesting development, Taiho said. The elderly Valari had become the director of the Interspecies Military Academy. We're getting applications from other species. The Zephyrians want to learn our tactics. So do the Confederation worlds. Word is spreading, Yuna explained. Everyone heard how we defeated the Kethter. They want to learn from us. The victory had indeed been decisive. When the main Kethter invasion force arrived at Valari space, they expected to face the same energy-based defenses they had easily defeated before. Instead, they encountered Valari ships equipped with human weapons and Valari soldiers trained in human tactics. The battle had been brief and one-sided. Kethter energy shields, designed to stop plasma beams and particle weapons, offered no protection against high-velocity bullets. Their boarding parties, trained to fight enemies with energy weapons, were devastated by soldiers using projectile weapons and close combat techniques. The best part, Doyan said, is that they surrendered instead of fighting to the death. Apparently, they respect strength. Once they realized they couldn't win, they asked to negotiate. Are they still in prison? Soyan asked. Some are, Yuna replied, but we offered the others a choice. They could return to their nomadic life, or they could settle on worlds we provide and learn to live peacefully. And most chose to stay. Turns out they were nomads because they couldn't defend fixed settlements from other raiders. Now that they know how to fight effectively, they want to build permanent homes. This was perhaps the most unexpected outcome of the war. The Kethter, who had seemed like unstoppable conquerors, were actually refugees from an even more dangerous enemy. By teaching them to defend themselves, the Alliance had gained new allies instead of defeated enemies. Speaking of former enemies, Minho announced, Jisu's unit just returned from the Kethter settlement Doppler 7. They've been training Kethter soldiers in defensive tactics. Jihan shook his head in amazement. Jisu, who had been a young diplomat just months ago, was now one of the Alliance's most experienced combat instructors. She led integrated units of humans, Valari, and Kethter, teaching them to work together despite their very different fighting styles. How is she doing? He asked. See for yourself, Yuna said, activating the communications system. The screen showed Jisu in a training facility that looked very similar to the one where she had learned to shoot. But this one was built for multiple species. The targets were different sizes and shapes. The weapons racks held everything from human rifles to Valari energy weapons to Kethter plasma cannons. Students, remember the first rule of combined arms, Jisu was saying to a mixed group of aliens. Every weapon has advantages and disadvantages. Your job is to know when to use which weapon. A young Kethter raised his hand. Instructor Jisoo? Why do we need so many different weapons? Wouldn't it be simpler to use just one type? Good question, Jisoo replied. Who can answer that? A Valari student spoke up. Because every situation is different. Energy weapons work well against armor, but not against shields. Projectile weapons work against shields, but can be stopped by armor. Plasma weapons work against both, but need more time to charge. Exactly, Jisoo said, and the same is true for tactics. Human tactics work well in close combat. Valari tactics are better for long-range precision. Kefter tactics are perfect for boarding actions. By combining all three, we become stronger than any single species could be alone. Jahan felt proud watching her teach. She had learned the lesson he had tried to teach all his students. That different didn't mean worse, just different. She's good, Colonel Davies said, appearing beside them. He had stayed to help develop the new academy. All your original students became excellent instructors. They understand both the technical skills and the deeper principles. That's because they learned it the hard way, Jihan replied. They had to overcome their own assumptions and fears before they could teach others. The communication screen switched to show other training facilities across the galaxy. On Valari Prime, Hana was teaching advanced sniper techniques to a class of mixed species. On the human colony of New Terra, Sumin was running an officer training program. On the former Kefter Raider base at Nexus Station, Minji was developing new weapons with teams of engineers from 6 different species. The network keeps growing, Taiho observed. Every month we add new facilities and new instructors. And it all started here, Soyen said, looking at Jihan. With one man willing to teach aliens how to shoot. Jihan laughed. I thought I was just earning some extra money. I never imagined it would lead to this. What's next? Minho asked. The Academy Board approved our proposal for the Advanced Studies program, Yuna announced. We're going to start teaching combined space-ground operations to the best graduates from each species. Combined operations? Imagine a Valari ship with human gunners and Kefter boarding specialists, she explained. Or a human ground unit with Valari snipers and Kefter assault troops. Each species contributing their strengths to create something better than any of us could build alone. It was an ambitious plan. But then, everything about this project had been ambitious from the beginning. As the meeting ended and everyone went to their duties, Jihan walked through the ship's corridors. He passed training rooms where humans, Valari, and Kefter worked together. He saw mixed crews maintaining weapons that combined technologies from all 3 species. He heard conversations in 3 different languages, often mixing words from each. In the ship's main hangar, he found the object he was looking for. Mounted on a place of honor was a simple wooden sign. Carefully preserved, Park Shooting Range, where safety comes first. Feeling nostalgic? Soyen asked, joining him. A little, he admitted. Sometimes I miss the simple days. When the biggest problem was whether someone remembered to wear ear protection. Do you regret how it turned out? Jihan looked around the hangar. Human and Valari mechanics worked side by side, maintaining fighters that could switch between energy and projectile weapons mid-flight. Kefter pilots chatted with Valari navigators, planning training missions that would have been impossible to imagine a year ago. No, he said finally. I don't regret it at all. Good, Soyen said with a grin. Because Admiral Yuna wants to talk to you about opening training facilities in the Andromeda Galaxy. Apparently they've heard about our success here. Jihan laughed. A year ago, he had been a simple shooting instructor on a quiet colony world. Now he was helping to train warriors across multiple galaxies. Tell her I'll think about it, he said. But first, I want to visit the new Academy campus. I hear they've built a replica of the original shooting range for historical purposes. They have. Complete with the coffee machine and everything? As they walked toward the shuttle bay, Jihan thought about all the students he had taught. From nervous Valari diplomats to fierce Kefter warriors to young humans who wanted to serve in the new interspecies fleet. Each had taught him something in return. The greatest lesson, he realized, was that teaching and learning never really ended. Every student became a teacher. Every teacher remained a student. And sometimes the most important lessons came from the most unexpected places. Like a simple shooting range where aliens learned to use human weapons, and humans learned that the galaxy was full of allies they had never imagined. Outside the viewport, stars shone in patterns that represented dozens of species, all connected, now by shared knowledge and mutual respect. It was a good legacy for a shooting instructor, John thought. A very good legacy indeed.